je m'appelle Pierre-Alexandre Balland et je suis professeur à l'Université d'Utrecht en ce qu'on appelle l'économie géographique. Je suis aussi professeur en sciences de systèmes complexes et également au MIT Media Lab, je suis visiting professor en sciences de systèmes complexes.
Well, I'm Raquel Ortega Argiles. I'm professor in regional economic development. I'm working at City Ready Institute at the University of Birmingham. I'm an applied economist, so I tend to work with big panel data, and also I try to also do modeling. But at the same time, in the last years, I have worked a lot on innovation and entrepreneurship regional policy, in particular with a focus on Europe.
My name is David Rigby. I'm a professor at UCLA. I work in two different fields, in geography and in statistics, but I'm trained as an economic geographer. I want to understand how the economy works, in particular how innovation works within the economy. And as a geographer, I'm very much concerned with why innovation is focused in some parts of the world rather than in others.
Yeah, my name is Ron Bosma and I'm a professor in regional economics at Utrecht University already for some time, since the early 2000s. And I'm also having an affiliation at the University of Stavanger at a business school in Norway. And I'm really happy to announce also that, of course, I will occupy the chair of Bernard Maries in the next 3 years. Yeah, my topic that I work on is, well, are pretty a lot. One, certainly the most recent one, is on how regions diversify over time. It's a topic that is important because what we know from the literature and from empirical studies is that regions have to develop new economic activities in order to compensate for processes of decline and exit in the economic system. So if a region is not capable of diversifying, producing new economic activities, it will face severe consequences in a negative sense for their long-term economic development.
Alors les sujets de recherche, en fait, ils sont très simples, c'est-à-dire qu'on se pose une question qui se pose en économie depuis très longtemps, c'est pourquoi il y a certains pays, certaines villes, certaines organisations qui sont riches et d'autres qui sont pauvres. Et en fait, c'est la façon dont on répond qui est différente, puisqu'on regarde en fait la structure économique de ces villes, de ces pays ou de ces organisations, et on regarde la complexité de ces structures et dans quelle mesure ça explique la croissance et la création de richesses. Ces recherches-là, en fait, nous apprennent en fait à comprendre quels vont être les facteurs de réussite dans un nouveau projet innovant, dans un développement de nouveaux domaines technologiques à l'échelle régionale, à l'échelle ville ou à l'échelle pays. Alors ça c'est une question qui est vraiment importante, c'est est-ce qu'il y a une recette? Il n'y a pas de recette, par contre il y a des critères qui sont importants à comprendre. Et le premier, qui est vraiment lié à nos recherches, c'est qu'il faut être en mesure d'analyser l'anatomie, l'ADN en fait, d'une région par exemple, et de savoir quel type de connaissances sont disponibles dans ces régions-là pour implémenter le bon projet. C'est-à-dire qu'un projet biotech peut être le bon projet pour Île-de-France et pas forcément le bon projet pour Occitanie. Donc il faut d'abord commencer par cartographier les connaissances qui sont présentes sur un territoire et partir de cette base-là en fait, pour développer un projet plutôt que l'inverse. La cartographie des connaissances en fait, dépend de l'échelle qui est analysée. Donc à l'échelle d'un pays, on ne va pas utiliser les mêmes modèles qu'à l'échelle d'une région par exemple. Nous aujourd'hui, quand on cherche à caractériser les connaissances technologiques qui sont disponibles dans une ville ou dans un pays, on utilise des bases de brevets qui sont très riches et qui nous donnent à peu près des catégories à peu près 160 000 différentes briques de connaissances. D'accord, 160 000, donc c'est beaucoup. Et en fait, on va regarder la combinaison de ces 160 000 différentes briques de connaissances. Donc aujourd'hui, ces modèles-là, ils sont très performants au niveau pays et au niveau région. Au niveau individu, c'est beaucoup plus compliqué d'avoir des données qui sont, on va dire, utilisables. Le plus proche, en fait, c'est de pouvoir distinguer en fait, le type de skills, le type de compétences en fait, que l'individu a. Donc il y a des bases comme par exemple LinkedIn, qui vont vraiment développer en fait, et essayer de cartographier les talents en fait, de l'individu, qui pour moi aujourd'hui sont les plus performantes. On peut aussi utiliser des questions d'occupation, hein, de job categories. On peut aussi utiliser la cartographie de brevets, publications scientifiques. En fait, tout ce qui va nous permettre, tout le type d'analyse, en fait, tout le type de données en fait, qui vont nous permettre de lier un individu à un domaine de connaissance. Donc ça peut être en fait ce que l'individu a écrit, des projets de recherche, des masters, en fait, tout ce qui va nous permettre de faire une analyse textuelle, qui va nous permettre en fait de catégoriser les connaissances, les compétences qu'un individu va pouvoir avoir.
I'm largely a data-driven scientist. I work with a lot of large data sets, primarily data sets focused on patents. And with those data, I'm primarily interested in 2 or 3 different questions. One of the first questions, again, is what is the architecture of knowledge? How do different technologies relate to one another? Are some technologies close together in what we might think of as a knowledge space? Are other technologies far apart? What different types of technology or what different types of knowledge can be brought together and fruitfully combined to produce new ideas, new technologies that might power economic growth for the next decade or longer? So I'm very much interested in the architecture of knowledge. I also, as a geographer, again, focus on how the shape of knowledge that's available to entrepreneurs, to business people, how that varies from one city to another. Why does Toulouse have a particular set of knowledge around the aircraft industry, aviation, electronics, guidance systems, and how is that different from the technology that's available in San Jose, Silicon Valley, which is more, say, ICT and social media based? Why is it that these different architectures of knowledge have been produced in some places rather than others? And how do those knowledge bases move over time? How do they diffuse in space to other centers? And can they regenerate growth in other regions within different countries around the world? A big question for economists and geographers is, what are the impacts of these new technology systems on economic development, on employment, and other critical variables? We know that growth tends to be positioned in certain places around the world, but that leaves a lack of growth in many other places. So what do we do about those inequalities? Can we take different types of knowledge and help them move from high-tech centers to lower-tech centers to try and stimulate growth in parts, in regions, in cities that have perhaps been left behind? How do we assist those places which are not doing very well to reimagine and reinvent themselves and develop new platforms for economic expansion and development and job creation? This becomes more and more difficult, I think, because technology, while it's a great thing and it offers us many opportunities, it's also potentially has some negatives, and some of those negatives might be in the future the loss of jobs. Will we be able to generate enough jobs to employ people 50 years down the road? It's not at all clear what the answer to that is. Other people might say, well, it's important that people are retrained and reskilled and educated so that they can move into the knowledge-intensive parts of the economy. But how many knowledge jobs are there in the economy? And can we grow enough knowledge jobs to provide employment for different people around the world?
So what we are after is, okay, to find how regions diversify over time. And what we do is we have an evolutionary perspective on that, looking at uncertainty, risk assessment, and to see, okay, if we are able to identify potential activities in a region that could be developed because the region has certain capabilities that can make that happen. Our research is then really focusing on to what extent new economic activities are really rooted in those capabilities that are around at the regional scale. Capabilities that can be knowledge, it can be skills, it can be institutions. It's a pretty broad concept, but the way we define it and we measure it empirically is quite sophisticated, right? So we use new measures that have only been developed quite recently, and we use network analysis in order to investigate that. One of our main findings is that indeed new economic activities do not start from scratch, but most of them are strongly related to existing activities in the region. So they draw resources like labor, skills, knowledge from existing activities in the region, which of course is also quite understandable, because to create new economic activities is full of uncertainty. And highly unpredictable, and therefore when regions diversify, they stay close to what they have been doing in the past. But still they renew themselves, right? They build new economic activities, which can of course bring new jobs to the region and generate new prosperity. So that's one of the main topics that I've been working on for the last 5 years or so. And we also try to see, okay, what type of conditions in regions might affect this diversification process. So for example, we look at different types of institutions that might matter more, that might enhance regions to diversify in new economic activities. And we are also very much interested in to what extent regions have to stay close to what they have been doing, or should they also not make jumps now and then in their economic evolution. So to really start up something completely new, what they haven't been not doing before, because it might be the case that that is a way to avoid lock-in in a region, that you become stuck in a certain specialty, and that you can really need to move into a completely new direction in order to secure long-term economic development. And that is a big question that is now on the table, and many researchers are jumping on that. So we call that unrelated diversification. So it's diversification unrelated to what was there before. As I said, it's a rare phenomenon, it's a rare case, but still it's interesting because it happens now and then. And we want to see whether that is sustainable in the long run, because it is even more risky and more uncertain than related diversification, because you build something out from scratch. And that of course is more risky, and failure rates are much higher, and of course has huge policy implications, because then you have to think about, should you support that type of diversification or not. Another topic that I'm really working on is on smart specialization policy. This is actually about this. It's really about how to develop new economic activities in regions, and can policy at the European level make a difference in that respect. So there is smart specialization policy already implemented since 2014 in the European Union. And what I tend to do is to connect to policymakers at the European scale. So I'm also working for the European Commission, but also go to regions and advise them how to develop and design a smart specialization policy.
Well, as I say, I have worked in European entrepreneurship, regional innovation, in particular in the new policy that is called smart specialization. So my areas of expertise, apart from the theoretical and the conceptual concept of smart specialization, is also a series of case studies that compares how this new policy has been somehow implemented or designed in different parts of Europe. Smart specialization has different pillars, if you want to think about. One of them is the entrepreneurial discovery process. The entrepreneurial discovery process is a process where somehow the regional development policy should identify which are somehow the catalyst, the entrepreneurs in the system that then can somehow create more returns for the region. So here we are talking about not only about the entrepreneurs itself, but also the potential entrepreneurs. So identify actors in the system that they can find those potential entrepreneurs that can bring somehow prosperity for a region. Identifying potential entrepreneurs can be done by many different means. So I have been here today and I have asked some questions about how you do the process of selection of the future entrepreneurs of this region, and I was very impressed about it. But in other regions, they maybe start the process more bottom-up, so introducing entrepreneurship education already at the primary schools, at the secondary schools, in order to, in the medium term and long term, develop this entrepreneurial culture and also skills and probably capacity, no? Where entrepreneurship is everywhere, right? Probably the ones that they have developed more this creativity and entrepreneurship skills and abilities and capabilities probably are the Scandinavian countries. They have been the ones that they have introduced entrepreneurship and creativity in nurseries or primary schools already.